Till now we have looked into the solution of diffusion type of problems and convection diffusion type of problems. Now in solving convection diffusion problems we assume that the velocity field is known from somewhere, and using that velocity field other scalar fields are solved. Now question is where from the velocity field will be known. The velocity field of course can be known by solving the fluid flow equations, that means the continuity equation and the Navier-Stokes equation which are to be solved together. So let us say that we are interested for a special case, just to begin with, special case of a 2-dimensional flow. With constant fluid properties. This is just to give you an example of what can be the forms of the governing equations and what are the corresponding challenges. The same concept can be extended to more complicated flows, but let us stick to this special case. So you have continuity equation as this, then x momentum we can write the momentum equations in either conservative form or non-conservative form, but let us just to begin with write in a non-conservative form. We will use the conservative form for solving the equation in a finite volume framework, but let us just consider the non-conservative form to begin with. So rho this is the x momentum equation, and similarly the y momentum equation. So what are the features of this equation? We have not considered any body force, you can generalize by adding some body force in the right hand side. Now what are the important features of this equation? First of all, they are coupled, next they are non-linear. They are non-linear because of the presence of the advection terms in the left hand side. So u del u del x, like that, these are non-linear terms. So non-linearity is one of the important considerations, but non-linearity is something which can be addressed to some extent in an iterative framework, which is well understood, that for example if you have u into u, so one of the u's you can consider as the value from the most recent iteration which starts with the initial guess. So it becomes a pseudo linear variable where u star is like a constant at each level of iteration. So it is possible to use a pseudo linear framework even if it is non-linear by using an iterative scheme, that is well understood. But the other issue is a bit more complicated, that see fundamentally the momentum equations are also convection diffusion equations. So the question is, we have already studied how to solve convection diffusion equations, why do we require to study separately how to solve fluid flow equations? Because fluid flow equation is also convection diffusion equation with some source term which is a pressure gradient, negative of the pressure gradient, where this is the advection term and this is the diffusion term and this is like the source term. So the issue is that yes, this is also a convection diffusion type of problem, but it has a source term which is a variable, that is the source term in which you have pressure as a variable but you do not have a separate governing equation for pressure. So you have a situation where you are having to deal with an undetermined variable as a source term where there is no explicit governing equation for that undetermined variable. So no explicit governing differential equation for pressure which appears in momentum equation. So this gives a great challenge in terms of the numerical approach of solving these equations, and one has to deal with it in a particular way. So we will try to move in a somewhat systematic way, we will try to see that what initially people thought of in terms of handling the pressure and then subsequent advancements in terms of handling the pressure term or pressure gradient term. Now we can see that the origin of the problem is because of the presence of the pressure gradient. So one of the ways to overcome the problem may be to eliminate the pressure term itself. So it is like you have headache, so to address the problem you cut your head, if you cut your head there will be no headache, right. You will have headache only when you have head. People who do not have head have no irritations in mind because they never have headache. So you are irritated by the presence of the pressure gradient, and what you can do, you can eliminate the pressure gradient to avoid this problem, and that is the approach attempted in the methodology known as stream function vorticity approach. So let us first consider the stream function vorticity approach. So the primary objective of this approach is to eliminate the pressure gradient and write governing equations in terms of the variable stream function and vorticity. So let us number these equations before we manipulate on them. So how can we eliminate pressure gradient? We differentiate equation 2 partially with respect to y, differentiate 3 partially with respect to x and subtract. So partial differentiation of equation 2 with respect to y. Remember that these are continuous partial derivatives. So you can either differentiate with respect to y first or differentiate with respect to t first. So just for convenience in further manipulation we have written the differentiation with respect to y second. Then So, this is the left hand side, let us write the right hand side. So, the right hand side we have completed. Now, let us write the corresponding terms for equation 3 and then we will subtract. The last term will come now. And the right hand side. So, once we have written these equations, let us give the equation some number, equation 4 and equation 5. Let us subtract these two. So, equation 4 minus equation 5. So, before subtracting, let us try to identify some common terms or similar terms. First, these two terms are similar. So, if you combine these two, you will have rho del del t of del u del y minus del v del x. Then if you consider these two terms, you can take del u del x common, del u del y minus del v del x. Next, if you consider these terms, you can take as u common and here you can swap the x and y, so that you can write plus u del del x of del u del y minus del v del x. The next term you can take del v del y as common. So, del u del y minus del v del x. Okay. Finally, v del del y of del u del y minus del v del x. Here also you swap the x and y in the last term. So, that is the left hand side. Now, let us write the right hand side. First two terms cancel, then mu plus mu del 2 del y 2 del u del y minus del v del x. Now, you can further simplify by combining these two terms. So, here del u del y minus del v del x is common. So, it will become del u del x plus del v del y into del u del y minus del v del x, and del u del x plus del v del y equal to 0 by continuity equation. In all other terms you can see that there is a common parameter del u del y minus del v del x. So, del u del y minus del v del x is what? It is the, so you can write say zeta is equal to del v del x minus del u del y which you may call as vorticity. It is just a matter of, since you are using it like a scalar variable, because the vorticity is with respect to an axis which is perpendicular to the xy plane, vorticity with respect to the z axis. So, it does not matter whether you take it as plus of this or minus of this, all the same, but let us say that we take it in this particular form. So, if we take it in this particular form, still it is the same. So, it becomes rho del zeta del t plus u del zeta del x plus v del zeta del y is equal to mu del 2 zeta del x 2 plus del 2 zeta del y 2. So, this equation is known as vorticity transport equation. Because it is a governing equation for transport of vorticity. Now, still it involves u and v, although pressure is eliminated, u and v is there. So, there must be some other parameters that are connected to u and v, and in 2 dimensional incompressible flow the parameter that connects u and v is the stream function. So, you can define u is equal to del psi del y, v is equal to minus del psi del x. Again any one of these could be a plus sign, another could be a minus sign. The objective is to satisfy the 2-dimensional incompressible form of the continuity equation. So, if we define for example in this way, then how can you write del v del x? Minus del square psi del x square, then del u del y minus plus del square psi del y square. So, del v del x minus del u del y equal to zeta implies del square psi del x square plus del square psi del y square is equal to minus zeta. So, you can have the governing equation for stream function which couples the stream function with the vorticity in this way. So, this vorticity transport equation, let us call it equation number 6 and let us call the stream function equation as equation number 7. So, then what we can say is that these are two coupled equations and numerical solution of these two coupled equations form the basis of the stream function vorticity approach. So, how these equations are numerically solved? So, you must have the stream function field and the vorticity field at time equal to 0. So, let us write it somewhere. So, step 1 you have initialize zeta psi at t equal to 0. Then once you know initial psi and initial zeta, that is this is some initial guess, then from there you can calculate what is initial u and what is initial v, because u is del psi del y and v is minus del psi del x. So, using that u and v, now you can solve this equation 6 like a convection diffusion equation where the variable is the vorticity. So, solve equation 6 with that vorticity as a source term. Now, you can solve equation 7. What is the nature of the equation 7? What type of equation is this? This is the Poisson equation. If the right hand side is 0, that is called as Laplace equation. So, if it was del square psi equal to 0, that would have been the Laplace equation. Here it is not 0, there is something in the right hand side. So, that is called as a Poisson equation. So, that is also a standard equation, standard partial differential equation in numerical science, and therefore one can elegantly solve this using whatever scheme that that one can use or one can choose. It is possible to solve this with zeta, the information of zeta from equation 6 that can be used as a source term. So, solve using zeta from above, solve equation 7. Remember, this is at a particular time. Now, at that particular time you are solving the stream function equation if you recall the definition of the stream function, here you do not have any reference of time, right. So at a given time you are calculating this uv on the basis of their relationship with the stream function. So at that given time you have to solve this equation maybe by using some iterative technique. So using zeta from above, solve equation 7. Once you solve equation 7, you have updated u is equal to del psi del y and v is equal to minus del psi del x. Then based on this updated u v, you go for the solution of the zeta again to equation 6. So again you go and solve equation 6 for the next time. So you have t equal to t plus delta t new time. So there is some outer iteration where the iteration variable is time, and within that there is some inner iteration where you have the iterative solution of this equation as well as this equation at a given time. So you freeze time at a given level of time, you have special variables, those special variables you solve by an iterative technique and then you go for the next level of time. That is how you can march in the outer iteration with time, and in the inner iteration you have this is like an elliptic equation. So it is not a marching problem, so you have to solve by any of the iterative schemes or elimination schemes whatever is convenient, but you cannot march in time for this equation because this is not a marching type of problem. Now it is straightforward to describe the solution of the stream function vorticity equation, but we have not yet discussed about the corresponding boundary conditions. The boundary conditions on velocity, pressure, these are physical primitive variables. So the boundary conditions on these are intuitive, like you can say the velocity is something, pressure is something, but the boundary condition on stream function and vorticity, so stream function and vorticity, these are somewhat derived quantities. So these are not the fundamental variables of fluid flow. Fundamental variables of fluid flow are velocity and pressure. So these are derived from the fundamental variables, and therefore it is not so trivial to impose a boundary condition on stream function and vorticity. So let us see that how we can give a boundary condition on stream function. Now we can give the boundary condition on stream function in a bit more straightforward way than the boundary condition on vorticity. We can give boundary condition on stream function by noting that the solid boundary is like a streamline. So if you recall that what are the streamlines? Streamlines are lines such that flow is always tangent to it at any point, the velocity vector is always tangent to it at any point. That means you do not have any flow normal to the streamline. When you have an impenetrable solid boundary, by no penetration boundary condition there is no penetration of flow, no flow perpendicular to the solid boundary, and therefore the solid boundary across which there is no penetration acts like a streamline. So it will have a particular value of the stream function. So the stream, because we know that the stream function is constant along a streamline. So if you have a solid boundary like this, so you can call it psi equal to constant like this. Now what would be the boundary condition on vorticity that you can give on this boundary? So let us try to look into that, because vorticity boundary condition is something again which you need to derive and it need not follow straightforward from the description of the physical problem, and these aspects were so important when people started using the stream function vorticity method that there were research papers, some paper totally devoted on how to give vorticity boundary conditions for some complicated problems, just to describe how to give boundary conditions, because these were not trivial, at least when this method was first established. Now let us not go into such complications, let us consider a simple case where you want to give vorticity boundary condition at this particular boundary. So to do that, let us consider that there is a grid point 1 at the boundary and grid point 2 which is located at a distance of delta y, perpendicular, the line 1 2 is perpendicular to the solid boundary. So we can write psi 2, let us expand the stream function at 2 in terms of stream function at 1 by using the Taylor series expansion. So psi 2 is equal to psi 1 plus del psi del y at 1 into delta y plus and so on. Now it is possible to write the stream function in terms of the velocity. So you can write this as u at 1 this is del u del y at 1. Remember that we have defined zeta as del v del x minus del u del y. What is the value of v at 1? 0. So you do not have any del v del x because v is constant along x at 1. So there is no variation of v along x at 1, okay. So it is a uniform 0 velocity, 0 v velocity along the wall. So there is no x, this is x direction, there is no x gradient of v on the wall. So you can write this as psi 2 is equal to psi 1. What is u at 1? It is 0 by no slip boundary condition. What is del u del y at 1? It is equal to minus zeta 1 plus order of delta y cube and so on. So you can write zeta 1 as psi 2 sorry psi 1 minus psi 2 into 2 by delta y square. Then of course the error term is there. So using a Taylor series expansion you can artificially generate a boundary condition for the vorticity in terms of the stream function. So the stream function at the boundary psi 1 you can set to 0 if you want or some constant value. This one will come from the iterations. So once the value of psi 2 is known, then only based on that you can calculate zeta 1. Once when it is not known, initially it is still prescribed by some initial guess. So you can see that you have to go through an iterative scheme because you must be knowing both psi 1 and psi 2 to define the boundary condition zeta 1. Okay. So, in an iterative framework, even if you have not solved psi 2, you have some recent guessed value of psi 2, and psi 1 is the properly prescribed boundary condition. So, you can see that it is not very trivial to give the boundary condition for the vorticity. Now, let us try to modify this situation a little bit, and let us try to work out a problem where we considered that instead of a no slip boundary condition there is a slip boundary condition. So, if there is a slip boundary condition, then how you write the stream function vorticity relationship as a boundary condition. So, example, slip boundary condition. So, the slip boundary condition may be possible because of different physical reasons. We will not go into all those physical reasons here, this is not in this particular numerical modeling scope, but we will just consider that there is some physical mechanism by which no slip boundary condition may be violated at the surface. This is common in many cases, for example for rarefied gases, where you have not sufficiently dense packing of the gas molecules. So, then the gas molecules can easily escape from their positions which could be occupied in contact with the solid boundary, and there can be a relative motion between the gas molecules and the solid boundary in a relatively rarefied condition. There could be several other possible mechanisms of slip. Now, once you have such a slip, you have the velocity profile which does not show 0 velocity at the fluid solid interface. So, then what you do? You draw a tangent to the velocity profile, and that extrapolated will meet the vertical line at 0 velocity at a distance L from the wall. So, as if the wall has been shifted by, if the wall is shifted by a length L, then that would have represented a no slip boundary condition. This L is called as a slip length. So, this is u, this is y, this is the slip velocity at the wall us. So, from simple trigonometry we can say that if this angle is theta, this angle is also theta. What is this tan theta? Tan theta is equal to L by US, and that is equal to or if you just write u as a function of y only, it is du dy du at the wall. So, we can write us is equal to L du dy at the wall. So, then in this boundary condition u1 is not 0, but u1 is equal to L into du dy at 1. So, psi 2 will be equal to psi 1 plus L du dy at 1 into delta y plus du dy at 1 into delta y square by 2 and the error terms. So, it is equal to psi 1 plus L delta y plus delta y square by 2 into du dy at 1, which is equal to minus zeta at 1. So, zeta at 1 will be psi 1 minus psi 2 by L delta y plus delta y square by 2. This is more general than the case with no slip. For the case with no slip, L equal to 0, and it, if you put L equal to 0 in this formula, you will get back the corresponding vorticity stream function relationship at the boundary for no slip condition. Okay. Now, the next question is, once you know the vorticity and the stream function, can you get back the pressure? See, you eliminated the pressure because it created problem, but at the same time you may need to get back the pressure because pressure is an essential flow variable in many of the fluid flow problems. So, how do you recover pressure? To recover pressure, so once you know U and V, you can set up a governing equation for pressure. How you can do that? Let us say that you differentiate now equation 2 with respect to x and 3 with respect to y and add together. So, del x of 2 this is what you get if you differentiate with respect to x. Okay. Similarly, you differentiate with respect to y equation 3. Plus u del square v del x del y plus del v del y whole square plus v del square v del y square. Okay. Then what we can do, we can add these two. So, if you add these two, this will be del del t of del u del x plus del v del y, by continuity that will be 0. So, the unsteady term is gone. So, one of the objectives that this manipulation satisfies is that unsteady term is eliminated. Then the remaining terms are there, you can simplify it or you may not also simplify it. If you consider the right hand side, it can get simplified very conveniently. So, it is mu del 2 u del x 2 into del u del x plus del v del y, this is also 0 by continuity equation if you add. So, let us give some numbers to this equation, let us say this is 8, this is 9. So, we are now adding 8 with 9. So, this addition will be 0, this addition will be 0, this addition will be 0 by continuity equation. Left hand side you can simplify in several ways. You can write rho del u del x whole square plus del v del y whole square plus you can write it as a plus b whole square formula plus 2 del u del x del v del y, then you subtract again 2 del u del x del v del y. So, that means you have considered this term and this term. Then you have 2 del u del y del v del x from these two terms. Then you can take u del del x as common here, that will be, so if you consider these two terms, you can take u del del x as common with del u del x plus del v del y. So, that is 0. Similarly, if you combine these two terms, that will be 0. So, you are left with minus del square p del y x square plus del square p del y square. So, this part is 0 because this is del u del x plus del v del y whole square. So, you have the governing equation for pressure as del square p del x square plus del square p del y square is equal to rho into 2 rho into del u del x del v del y minus del u del y del v del x. Once u and v have been solved from by using the stream function vorticity approach, this is the right hand side which is known if u v are known, if u v are solved. So, then what type of equation is this? This is a Poisson equation, but now it is a governing equation for pressure, not stream function. So, it is called as a pressure Poisson equation. So, you can recover, you can get back the pressure by solving this pressure Poisson equation after solving the velocities. So, that is the total scheme of the stream function vorticity approach. Now, what are the demerits of this approach? what are the limitations of this approach. So, one of the limitations that we have seen while working out the approach itself is the artificiality in the vorticity boundary condition. So, the vorticity boundary condition is not something which is coming from basic physical arguments, it is we are writing it from the Taylor series expansion of the stream function. So, it is a mathematically derived quantity, but not a fundamental input physical parameter, that is one, but still it would have been okay. The more general problem is something like this. See, if you are very careful, you have seen that very deliberately we have worked out this particular method by considering a special case of a 2-dimensional problem. The reason is that the stream function is defined in this way for a 2-dimensional problem. So, you cannot easily extend this concept to a 3-dimensional problem. So, this puts a lot of restriction on the solution methodology. Not only you lose track of pressure, you introduce artificial boundary conditions for vorticity, these are still peripheral points, but to me the most important restriction is that it is not generally applicable to a 3-dimensional problem. So, if we want to have a method which is generally applicable to a 3-dimensional problem, we should try to address the problem of keeping the pressure as it is in the governing equation. So, if there is a headache, try to go for a good medicine rather than cutting the head altogether, and that is what we will try to attempt, and that attempt is known as a primitive variable based solution approach. That is, you are trying to go for a solution based on the velocity and pressure by themselves without eliminating pressure, directly going for solution of velocity and pressure from the governing equations. So, that we will do next. If we are interested about the primitive variable approach, there are certain restrictions or there are certain obstacles that we have to face. One of the important obstacles is the calculation of the pressure gradient term. So, the pressure gradient term, if you recall, acts as a source term in the momentum equations. So, let us see that how we can approach towards that. Now, our objective is not to eliminate the pressure gradient term, retain it and see that what challenges we face if we retain it. So, primitive variable approach. So, let us say that we are interested to discretize, how to discretize the pressure gradient term. Let us say that you have point P with the neighboring points E W like this, and we are interested to calculate the discretized form of the pressure gradient term for this control volume. So, what will be the corresponding representation? Minus del P del x dx. From small w to small e. So, that is equal to P small w minus P small e. That is the integral form of the source term which we require in the finite volume formulation. Now, when you have Pw minus Pe, see at small w and small e, if you do not define the variables, usually we define the variables at the main grid points. So, you need to interpolate the value of the variables at these points. If all the points are equidistant, then this is nothing but Pw plus P capital W plus Pp by 2 minus P capital P plus P capital E by 2. So, it is Pw minus Pe by 2. Remember that the pressure gradient terms acts as a body force per unit volume. So, it is a driving force for the fluid flow to take place across a control volume. So, this is the forcing parameter. Now, let us consider two examples. In one example we have the pressure field like this, ten, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 like this. In another case we have a pressure field like this, 10, 0, 10, 0, 10, 0, 10 like this. Let us try to calculate the body force in these two cases. So, if you consider this as W, this as E and this as P, you can see that the body force term here is given by Pw minus Pe. So, that is 10 minus 10 0. Here also it is given by Pw minus Pe, so it is given as 0, but these two cases are not physically the same. Here you have a wavy type of pressure field where the pressure alternates between 0 to 10 and 0 to 10 like that. So, here you have a net pressure gradient, the pressure gradient is not 0. So, physically here the pressure gradient is 0, here the pressure gradient is not 0, but because of the artifact of this interpolation both the cases are handled in the same way, both the cases are interpreted in the same way, that is clearly wrong. Here the pressure gradient is 0 we can understand, but here the pressure gradient is clearly not equal to 0. So, this is a big problem. Even if you want to integrate the continuity equation you still get the same problem. Let us try to do that. So, if you are having the continuity equation del u del x, say one dimensional continuity equation, du dx equal to 0. So, that means you have u e minus u w equal to 0. So, if you write it in terms of capital letters, so what you will get is u e is equal to u w. So, instead of velocity field let us consider these as, instead of pressure field let us consider these as velocity fields. So, if you see that this velocity field satisfies u e equal to u w and this is a uniform velocity profile in one dimensional du dx equal to 0. Here this is not du dx equal to 0 because u is a function of x, still it is interpreted as u e equal to u w, and it gives a false idea that as if the continuity, one dimensional continuity is satisfied. So, there is something wrong with treating the first order derivative terms in the source term of these equations or even in the continuity equations. So, how do we get rid of this problem, that we will take up in the next lecture. Thank you.